The easiest way to put your problems into perspective is to ask yourself if you're experiencing a Disney Channel problem. A Disney Channel problem is something that you would only see in a Disney Channel show. Like, it's so ridiculous and like clearly scripted that it has to be a Disney Channel problem. For example, my boyfriend calls me the other week, and he's notorious for having like Disney Channel problems, okay? He calls me the other week and he's like, I don't know what to do. I made too much salad dressing. And he flips the camera, and it's a gallon's worth of salad dressing that he accidentally made when he wanted to make it enough for one bowl of salad. And it was a really quick way to, remind yourself, like, sometimes my problems are just Disney Channel problems, and it's not that deep.
All right, so I have a small purse theory, and that is if you carry tiny purses, you end up attracting people who do things for you because your tiny purse has no fucks to give and also can't hold a lot of stuff. Obviously, if you're with your girlfriends, then carry bigger purses so then you can like take care of each other. But when you're with a man, carry a tiny purse because that means you only have your ID, your key maybe, and like some lip gloss, but everything else he has to carry.
Sometimes different spaces offer the same experience or vibe, like bowling alleys and karaoke rooms where you either embarrass yourself in front of your friends or really impress them. Then an airport without airplanes is just a mall, and they're both the kind of space where time moves slower or faster depending on how inconvenient it is at the time. B&B and hospitals, same atrocious vibe. These are the kind of spaces that we don't choose to go to but are made to, and just imagine getting your ticket, your number 72, and they just count out 24. Just horrible. So conventions and indoor food markets are the kind of spaces where the direction that people are walking at almost never matches the direction that they're looking at. So it's chaotic. And if it's one of the comic conventions, they both will smell like onions. Almost every Apple store is like this gigantic space that is like 20% furnished. So honestly, the noise in there is comparable to like a high school cafeteria. For kids, cruise ships and summer camps are like these transitional stages where they form a temporary reality for themselves and make temporary friends that they probably never talk to again. Gyms and libraries have similar vibes, like hear me out. In both of them, you're wearing earphones, right? You keep to yourself, you're working out, you share equipment, and sometimes you bring a friend over for like moral support to push you. The only difference between this arcade and that casino is that Chuck E. Cheese is probably performing on stage.
This is just my opinion, but people really need to be understanding the power that prisoners, homeless people, and the disabled have. Not only are they the most inclusive groups, meaning that anyone can become one of them, but also addressing their needs addresses all of our needs. And moreover, they are incredibly valuable members of society. Their survival skills, their adaptability, their capacity to cooperate under any circumstances, and their deep understanding of material reality is indispensable. And there's a reason why homeless people, prisoners, physically disabled, and mentally disabled people are devalued in this society. There's a reason why their voices are overlooked in preference for the most out-of-touch intellectuals who remain in their elitist bubbles. And it's because they are the true knowledge of society. If we should be putting anyone's voice first, it's theirs.
It is really easy to create the illusion of intimacy in your interpersonal relationships. And as someone who does this, let me explain what that means and in some ways what that can look like. So for example, I'm someone who, there is not many people who I tell like the actual like depth of like my actual life and my actual opinion, like things I've gone through. There's not many people, right? But with certain people, sometimes I'll give them enough to feel like they know me, just so they don't get too deep. But because I've had like a lot happen in my life is quite complex and I think a lot and I just have a lot of experiences, they feel like that what I'm giving them is a lot, when really there is a lot more that they don't know. So it creates this false sense of like security and intimacy in the relationships. And the thing that I've noticed is that when you are like this, you also attract people who are like this. So then you find yourself in like very superficial relationships. And I don't mean in the sense of like they don't care about you and they don't like, they're shallow. I mean in the sense that the relationship just kind of stays surface level. Like as someone like, I might tell someone about something that's like really bad that happened to me when I was younger or something. And they might think, wow, like she must trust me so much for telling this to me, right? When really there's actually worse things that's happened, and that's light work. Do you know what I'm saying? And I used to think like, like it's a way for me to guard myself and protect myself. And, until when a couple of years ago, like some time ago, I don't know, I had a really close friend of me say like, damn, I know nothing about you. I don't even know your favorite color. but I feel like you're my best friend. How is that so? And that was the first time where I realized like, oh, like, yeah, like I really felt like I was getting caught. Like I feel like she like really called me out, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she was kind of feeling like, I feel like our friendship isn't as deep as I want it to be type thing. And I was kind of on some like, yeah, that's exactly how I want it to be, because I had like this fear of intimacy that was unchecked at the time, you know. But now I realize that like, whilst I thought I had dealt with it, it still has carried on into my adulthood. And I find myself in friendships or in interpersonal relationships or around certain people where I feel like, you know, sometimes I might feel like, oh my goodness, like I might not have friends who are like me, or I might not have people who know me like that, when really it's like kind of my fault. Like I never create a space, not my fault only, but sometimes this false intimacy is actually stopping me from having real intimacy. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think, yep, that's enough. Do you know what I'm saying? And they think that they're getting enough, so they never know to ask more. They never know to go further. And I kind of like it that way, deep down subconsciously. Now, obviously, I'm making efforts to change this, but I want you to know that if you create this false sense of intimacy with people around you, and you think it's a flex, and you think it's a way that's helping you create relationships, it's not. Because if you know what I'm talking about, don't you feel this deep sense of loneliness? I'm telling you, if you don't feel it now, you'll feel it eventually. False intimacy breeds loneliness, deep loneliness.
Weird things that I did to elevate my life is I stopped wearing big t-shirts at home. Big t-shirts and sweatpants. And I got rid of them, and I started only wearing like athleisure and maxi dresses that are really comfy. Like maxi dresses are sometimes actually more comfier than sweatpants, because you just throw it on and it's just one piece. Like you wake up and you throw on a maxi dress. And I lost weight. I ended up getting more fit. I ended up going to the gym more because I was just constantly in athleisure wear. So get rid of those like high school t-shirts that you own, that you got for free, that you wear when you're comfy at home, because that is actually what made me gain a lot of weight.